Stephen, I haven't got the foggiest idea what this music is that's playing.
It's smooth.
Yes, it's very smooth. It sounds like something you would get in some far-out avant-garde radio station.
Cigarette, my dear? Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, that's so beat.
That last play you wrote. There's only one better thing than having one great play, and that's having two great plays. None of that makes any sense. I know, none of my stuff does.
Yeah! Stephen, I really have to assign a macro to that central. It's just not working, sadly.
Hello and welcome into Movie News Live here at MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on this Monday night on YouTube and of course our Twitch stream. I am one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin, our other co-host who doesn't have to appear on the screen because he's already here thanks to that split camera thing he's doing. It's John C. Walsh. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing absolutely wondrous, Stephen. I'm in a silly mood tonight, so there's going to be a lot of posh English gentlemen's coming out, and there's simply nothing that I can do about it. It's almost like a split personality. I'm possessed by the spirit.
Yeah. Well, John, we did go down a bit of a rabbit hole just before we came on air looking at Rick Mail, that kind of thing.
What a guy.
Which we absolutely love, you know. Totally missed the guy.
8 years gone.
Can't believe it, John. Can't believe it. Don't know how we came across it, but we did. You know,
it was you with me doing the posh English gentleman again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Stephen, I don't know if you want to get into the tragic passing.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to do it?
You can do it.
You want to do it?
You want to say the name because I forgot it.
You throw me under the bus.
Marvel's very own.
Yeah. Marvel's very own who?
I'll bring it up.
Yeah. What a disaster, John.
I'm sure they'll really be laughing. This is supposed to be a sombre moment, listen, but it was just the forgetfulness of us. But Stephen, you sent me over William Hurt,
William Hurt
had
Jr.
passed away.
Do you know why? 'Cause
71.
I was convinced it was John Hurt, who sadly passed away a few years ago. I didn't
Yeah.
want to make an absolute arse of it, but yeah, John, listen, you
Yes.
talk about William Hurt and you talk about that character that he plays in the MCU, starting with, I think, was he in Iron Man? I can't remember but he's definitely in the Incredible Hulk. We knew
Yeah, he
that.
was a sort of sword, wasn't he?
Kind of semi-villain. He had his own reasons, for the way
Military
he
man,
was.
wasn't he?
It was, yeah. John, well, tremendous wig, has to be said. Better than Jonah Jameson's, definitely. But yeah,
Not
John, he
talking
sadly
about-
passed away yesterday, and
Yeah.
I sent a message over to yourself saying I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I know he was in his mid-70s at the time. I still regard that as young. I don't know about yourself, John, but
I mean, it's young for dying of natural causes,
Yeah.
Stephen. Certainly at the age
Especially-
of 71, I
yeah.
wouldn't be expecting to die of natural causes.
the
But
other
yeah,
thing is as well about that character and his presence in the MCU, he wasn't as at the forefront as your Samuel Jackson's character, or perhaps maybe even Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Sort of interweaving and in credit scenes, etc. and that. But he was a presence, and you have to give him that. He was a presence, and they brought him back as well. Obviously for the Phase 3. The latter stage of Phase 3 as well. He will be a sad miss, John. He's an Oscar winner as well.
yeah, 1980s, massive, came to real prominence, also
Yeah.
did win an Academy Award.
Yeah.
And just, Stephen, it's sad to see these actors of a certain standing passing away. It's getting to that time, and I hate to keep bringing it up, it is
Yeah.
morbid.
It is,
But there's a lot of
it's true.
top tier actors of a
Mm.
certain age who are sadly going to start dropping off in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Mm.
And the world will be a much gloomer and darker place, less artistic place for it. But look, just thought we'd say a piece. I was kind of laughing at the start. It's not anything to...
No, we're not laughing at
at that, obviously. We're
Laughing
just...
at throwing me under the
Yeah,
bus.
I'm laughing at me forgetting things. I could be 71. I think I've got the brain of
Yeah.
a 71-year-old at times. But yeah, it's sad to see the news. You sent it over.
Yeah.
I'd actually already
John,
seen it. I've got notifications.
I know we always say this, but we do mean it. His memory lives on, his life lives on through his work, through his art.
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
Stephen, they say that life, what is life, but if not to make memories,
Yeah.
And to leave a... I mean, they say that, I say that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else says that, but for me, life is all about impact and being remembered
Yeah.
and being eternal, and that's why the real superstars of the arts, the likes of your John Lennon's, your Kurt Cobain's, getting back, your great actors, your great directors, they will be eternal, because they have left an indelible impact on multiple generations. They'll be spoken about and handed down to other
It's
generations.
the medium they work in, John, as well.
They'll never be forgotten.
That's it.
They're eternal. So
It's there
can't
forever.
ask for a better life than that.
But we will move on to the headline anyway,
Yes.
John.
And again, if I get topics I don't know, we'll find out.
It's
won't
it's Sam Raimi. He's for the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which we're all anticipating for different reasons, I suppose. And one of those reasons I would say is probably how Sam Raimi handles the character, how he handles the MCU as well. But he's not talking about the MCU here. He's talking about wanting to make a Batman movie, and he said. This is coming in from Empire, by the way. He said, if I saw the bat signal, I'd come running. So would I. I absolutely love Batman. That's my favourite DC character. But
Indeed.
as it turns out, John, I'm just going to read this little bit
Yes,
here.
we'll go there and
that-
I'll disappear off
That's
the
not
screen.
only a comic book character that Raimi has a particular affection for, talking about Doctor Strange, that is, if Batman is predominantly in the custody of Matt Reeves right now, with the Batman still raking in major cash at the box office and a spin-off series heading to HBO Max, the Caped Crusader would be a real draw for the director. He says, I've always loved Batman. If I ever saw the bat signal up in the air, I'd come running, he laughs. In fact, it sounds like there's a whole list of comic book characters beckoning to Raimi too. If I heard that deep gurgling laugh of the shadow coming from the darkness, I would also tentatively step outside, and Spider-Man would be ahead of Doctor Strange, but I don't want to put him down the list. We kind of did. But John, I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, Sam Raimi did an amazing job on 2 out of 3 Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire. There's no doubt about that. The first 2 films are still comic book perfection as far as I'm concerned. But we're talking about tone here, aren't we? We're talking about Spider-Man and Batman are so far apart in terms of tone. Well, they should be, unless you're Joel Schumacher in those films. But to me, what we're getting early indications from exactly bat nipples, Spider-Man with nipples. Why'd that come into my head? Doctor Strange,
buttocks
John.
as well. Quite prominent.
The Doctor Strange. sequel is really what I'm interested in seeing how tonally.
Yeah, because that could be a good precursor.
I think so. I think it is, John.
Batman or something.
But something's all sticking with me. Scott Derrickson was removed from the project because he was going down. It was going down a dark path, and making the sequel a more horror sort of genre. I kind of get the vibes from the trailer that's where they're going with this anyway. So I don't believe the whole thing about Derrickson being removed for those reasons. But I'm very intrigued to see. Matt Reeves, I think's got a grip on this franchise for the next 10 years at least. I think. Yep. I do. I think it's going to be a 10-year stretch, John. I don't think we're going to see a Batman sequel for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then there'll be another one. I think there will be a trilogy. But you look at the Nolan ones that took 2005 to 2012. That was a 7-year stretch. But it really just depends. But I don't know if I'm keen on this at all. I think it really just hinges on how he deals with Doctor Strange, as far as I'm concerned. What about yourself?
I mean, Stephen, Raimi is a tried and tested, established director, veteran director.
He's got nothing
going
to
back
prove.
20 odd years, 30 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that Marvel have picked him out as the guy to come in and steady a potential sinking ship with Multiverse of Madness, when they did part ways with Scott Derrickson, not something that's happened, I think, since going back to Ant-Man, when it was Edgar Wright, I think, it moved away.
Yeah.
So it's not often you'll see Kevin Feige having a misstep like that with a director.
It's not Lucasfilm.
It's not Lucasfilm where it happens every fucking project.
Yeah.
If it's not a director that's rewriting the scripts, shambles over there. And it's hard to believe still under that same umbrella of Disney, sharing the same sort of creative space as a Kevin Feige and a Marvel. Couldn't be further apart. Literal Andromeda to Milky Way galaxy, distance apart, 3 million fucking years, or whatever it will take for those two galaxies to collide. That's how far apart Marvel and Lucasfilm are just now in terms of consistent output. Hopefully Lucasfilm can get there though, but that's another day, I'm sure. We'll be getting into Star Wars at the end of this, so I'm sure we'll delve into that again. I simply can't help myself.
Yeah.
But Stephen, the fact that Marvel and Disney seeked out Sam Raimi and wanted to bring him into that project, that shows you how much respect the guy's held with still in the industry.
Yeah.
Stephen, I can't sit here and lie and say I know everything that Sam Raimi's done for the last 15, 20 years. I don't know how his career's went completely. I'm sure if I look in his IMDb, there'll be something that will stand out that I know that he's done. But you're right, I think in terms of comic books and where he is in terms of that genre, sub-genre, I feel like we'll see how he gets on with Multiverse of Madness, and then that'll maybe tick the boxes for other studios. They may be intrigued to see these comments and may take him up on it. It'll really depend on how this movie goes, because Stephen, for me, this movie is the biggest Marvel movie, and then probably this current 5-year plan, if it is a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got naked HD. Click there to get wet girls. But anyway, I digress. That aside, the wet girls aside, this movie's massively important for the MCU moving forward. In terms of this 4-5 year period, this is make or break for the entire multiverse thing. So they've picked this guy, they know what he's going to bring. Potentially with the foresight unknown, they'll be working with the likes of Tobey Maguire again. So I don't think you can get a greater seal of approval than that. Probably the most successful blockbuster anyway, producer in the industry, going and pick the guy out. So after he's done with this, and maybe he's done with what he's got to do with Marvel, I don't think he'll be short in offers. I think the likes of Warner Bros. DC may be intrigued in taking him up in the comments he's made here. And if not working with Batman, maybe some other superhero, because he mentions the Shadow. I don't know who the Shadow creatively is linked to in terms of has there been an adaptation. Would a studio be interested? I certainly searched the character up. I asked you who the actor was. Clark Gable, was it?
Yeah.
He gave me vibes of that. The sort of pencil moustache, the fedora hat, that vibe of the sort of golden era of Hollywood. Who could you get in to do that just now? I don't know. That's not really my job. But I'm with you, Stephen. I think in terms of Batman, it's very much Matt Reeves' project just now. You mentioned also Christopher Nolan, his trilogy, 7-year period to get that done.
Yeah.
He had a coherent vision, Stephen, I'm presuming, Nolan, for this character. Yeah. Matt Reeves has already admitted he's taking a break from the character. He's not going to be rushed into a sequel.
That's the best thing.
So it could be 10 years.
I think as well, Reeves is very conscious of Batman fatigue. we're getting a Keaton version. We're getting obviously.
Well, I mean, that's another thing. Yeah.
Ben Affleck coming back as well. Maybe a small role, but he's still present there. And I think.
I was tempted to put Affleck on the thumbnail, Stephen, because I was going to ask you the question. I mean, they've already established they don't really care about multiple Batmen being on the screen in various different movies in a short period of time. They've stepped away from the multiverse thing, which is the best way. I think for DC, they have notoriously been a more independent movie kind of studio. It doesn't really work, the expanded universe. These characters are too... I don't know, man. They're too independent, Stephen. You can have a Superman franchise doing its own, that's self-fulfilling, it's self-serving. The same with Batman, same with all the other characters, The Flash. You don't need to be interconnecting all these characters.
Of course you don't.
Wonder Woman, they've all been successful in their own right. But with that in mind, with them already having that precedent of having 3 different Batman iterations on the screen at various different times, it does open the door of potentially a Raimi coming in and doing another Batman movie with another actor. Would you like to see Ben Affleck coming back in a sense? That's what I'm going to cut to the chase.
I think it's one of the ones,
because he's unfinished and he's such a different version.
The thing, and I think it's one of those things. John, I don't know if you saw the actual suit from the artwork. It dropped today, I think it was, or yesterday.
I didn't know.
It looked absolutely amazing
as well. Is that Ben Affleck's?
Which just annoys me even further, because it's one of those what ifs.
I like the grey one.
Yeah. It was outstanding, wasn't it?
It was just the logo. I've got the fucking hat.
Yeah,
with the logo.
His physique as well was just perfect.
Yeah, he was
for
a
that.
big boy, 6'2" or something. Ben Affleck, he was broad, very big.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I'll have to get rid of him as well, John. But
I'm just ignoring them, Steve.
I think, I would like to see him come back. I think a lot of people may be concerned about fatigue, and I think I'm probably one of them. But if they were going to do it, then I would do it with someone that's already played the part. Then that way, it's not too. Oh, here we go again. Another actor playing Batman.
Stephen, I'm
saying
in a very short
space of time.
I'm saying that they've kind of forgone the expanded or the connected universe.
Yeah.
But with the Flash, Ezra Miller's Flash, Gal Gadot, I think that's what she's saying her name is now, by the way. I read that up.
She changed it? Alright.
Yeah, you're pronouncing names wrong. There was some article.
Start calling her Gail.
Gal Gadot, I think is how you say her name. It's not Gadot. So,
alright, I didn't know that.
Fuckers who have been saying Gadot and lead me astray.
Is she important enough to be even taking
I don't think she meant. I think it was just a sort of throwaway article. You've been seeing these actors and famous people's names wrong all along.
Yeah. John,
and the people are just flinging in little innocent remarks like, oh, that's how I say my name. Well, is that how you say it? That's different to how we've been saying it. But with her still existing in this universe, Jason Momoa's Aquaman about to have another movie in this universe, it kind of still exists.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not out with the realms of possibilities for Ben Affleck's Batman to exist in that universe, Robert Pattinson's Batman to exist in a totally different universe, and we can have 2 iterations. I don't think it's likely. I don't think Ben Affleck will be back after The Flash.
But if
Raimi's going to do a movie, I'd love to see him do it.
Saying, in terms of the comic books, they didn't wait to, a run of issues finished before they started doing another version of them. They were all multi-layered and running over each other as well. So it's not any different to this medium. And I think
it's clearly different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's clearly different. So if you
well.
get the 2 mixed up, then that's down to you.
Yeah.
But Stephen, getting into another thing connected into this article, man, he speaks about where he ranks the characters, kind of indirectly places Spider-Man. He places Spider-Man above Doctor Strange.
John, you can look into this if you want. I don't know how you took it.
Convinced, man. I'm absolutely convinced.
I think there's talks at least.
I think we're getting a Maguire Spider-Man movie again.
I think when I read that line, I thought, that's interesting. That you see why he even talking about Spider-Man. But I think there's maybe early talks that potentially Tobey Maguire, John.
I mean, we've seen him in the movie, Stephen. He's still got it. He's still a young guy.
He is. Yeah.
He's still got the athleticism, and he's certainly got the acting chops and the presence. So
his mannerisms haven't changed either, John. In terms of the character, that sort of goofy boy next door thing. He's still got that, and you saw the traits in No Way Home.
Well, Steve, this is where Multiverse of Madness comes in. Why it's such an important movie. You can establish characters in this universe through that movie, and then spin off and do things with them.
It's going to be interesting as well. Doctor Strange, was his memory wiped as well about Spider-Man?
No, I think he's the main man, so
he's probably apart from obviously Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
I think I don't know if he's aware. I don't know. They seem to establish he was aware of the spell being cast. Also, Wong.
Yeah.
Says to him, look, you've made your bed pretty much. The other guy, the villain from the first Doctor Strange movie who disappeared, I forget his name, he came back and says, look, you've backed yourself into a corner, bitch. Paraphrasing, of course, here.
Yeah.
now you're going to serve the consequences. He gets taken in front of this sort of clandestine organisation with Charles Xavier.
Going to Scooby-Doo this shit, yeah.
Yeah, going to Scooby-Doo it. Well, he's in a right Scooby-Doo predicament now. He's not got the fucking, what is it called, that bastard truck? I should know this, man. I was a huge Scooby-Doo fan back in the day.
The Mystery Machine.
Mystery Machine. He's not got that. He's not got Shaggy. He's not got any of the people. Just continuing with this shite analogy, by the way. He's on his lonesome.
Well, John, that's the impression I'm getting from the trailer anyway, but I'll tell you something, I can't wait to see this movie.
Well, Stephen, I'll ask you another question. Sorry, I'm interjecting.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
I was just going to say, John, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it's probably the next big one we're going to probably do with Gianni anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of other guests. But
we've got Nope coming out.
Yeah. Oh,
Nope.
yeah. That's in July, isn't it? Yeah.
Nope. There's a couple coming out.
Yeah.
But we'll I'm going to dabble with getting multiple people on the show. I don't know if I've the fucking faintest idea how I'll make it happen.
Yeah. You get 3 of us on it last 2 hours, so you can imagine this is going to be a marathon.
5 hours, you need to start breaking out the pizzas. Which, funny enough, the last time Gianni was on, there was pizza waiting on me down the stair, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Slightly cold, but cold pizza is always good. It doesn't matter. Steve, I was going to ask you a question. Also, big news broke today. Deadpool 3 is happening.
Yeah.
We decided not to headline the show with it because just every other movie news related channel, the big channels have covered it. So really, we will not get a fucking look in.
It's a man that's directing that last film that Ryan Reynolds. In fact, I think
Free,
it was
Free Guy.
It was on not that long ago on Disney Plus, wasn't it?
Is it Free Guy?
I think it. No, it's. Is it Free Guy? I'm thinking of the one that's just out on Netflix just now. I think.
Well, I mean, Free. Yeah, you read something.
Yeah.
With Dwayne Johnson. I'm pretty sure it was Free Guy.
No, the time travelling one I'm thinking about. The one that was.
One?
I think your dad was actually watching it yesterday.
Oh,
on Netflix.
Yeah.
I can't remember, John, but
it did look alright. That it didn't look terrible.
It seems to be getting a lot of chat just now. Anyway,
I mean, apparently he's in the MCU, Stephen. So we can't just establish him in his own movie. That's sure you're in the MCU now. We need an introductory moment. Do you think it will be Multiverse of Madness? Because it was hinted, we've seen hints of him in that trailer, didn't we? Do you think we'll see him pop up in this? That's him, get his leg in the door, and then we move on.
John, this might be the platform to do it with them all. Really, when you think about it, the Fantastic Four, Blade. You know, I don't know. You can put Deadpool in there as well. I suppose it would make sense. I do hear that they're saying that, you know, if there is a version of Patrick Stewart's Professor X, it's going to be a variant.
It struck me as that being the
case. Yeah, I don't mind that either,
malevolent.
John, because any sort of presence Patrick Stewart has in a comic book film is going to be good anyway. So,
but Stephen, ultimately, this is getting back to the final probably point I'll make on it. Why I think Raimi can probably have the pick of what he wants to do in terms of comic books if this pays off, because it's a Titanic movie. They've shown their confidence in the guy. There's potentially multiple characters coming into this universe through this movie, using it as a back door into the MCU. So I think this guy can probably do whatever he wants. It's almost like James Gunn.
Yeah.
He establishes himself with Guardians of the Galaxy, gets sacked, and immediately goes over to DC.
I see Mr. Gunn's knocked the whole Gamora idea on the head anyway, saying there's no chance it's happening.
With the prequel? I mean, it's his baby as well, Steve.
We talked
Tell you
about
what, man,
last week.
fucking speaking about Guardians of the Galaxy, Steve, very brief tangent, man. I played that game.
I was going to say, how was it? Was it okay?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Really enjoying it.
What was that on Xbox?
It's on PC, but you can get it on the Xbox. I think it's on the Game Pass, Steve. It's tremendous, man. They do a huddle when they're fighting things, and if you get it right, the music kicks in and you're fighting the music. It's just fucking. It's get the vibes of Guardians down. Yeah. Doesn't look like obviously Chris Pratt, but fucking great. The bickering, the back and forth.
I remember the Avengers game from a couple of years ago. Not one of them looked.
Apparently,
like
it's amazing. I'm going to play that as well.
You need to sort of suspend that sort of image that we've all been used to over the last 12, 13 years with the MCU. He's
got much better hair than Chris Pratt. I tell you that. Nice blonde undercut.
Yeah.
It puts me in mind of your man. It isn't Wyatt Russell. It's the other guy. Boyd Holbrook.
Oh yeah.
That kind of haircut.
Yeah, from
he was from
Logan.
He was from Logan. He was in Overdrive. Overdrive with J.J. Abrams production company. He was in The Predator. Yeah,
The Predator. Yeah,
wasn't good in that movie.
Terrible. John, we're going to talk about a good film now. There's more of those things. So I'll say what I've got to say then.
By the way, half a billion gross at the box office with the Batman. I meant to throw that in. Half a billion.
John, we'll have to get back to doing box office chat again, because that was one of the things that we enjoyed doing, and I know a lot of people liked it as well. And I think we're now in a position to talk about that kind of thing now, with all the releases coming back into the cinema. But we're talking about Austin Butler, and he's in talks for Dune Part 2.
It's not.
No, it's not that yet. That's the one you were sort of hinting at previously. But we were talking about Florence Pugh last week in terms of in talks, reports anyway, that she would be playing Princess Irulan in the sequel. I don't like calling this a sequel. It's part of the same story.
It's just,
it's just the next part of it. But it's Austin Butler, John, and the man that's going to be playing the King of Rock and Roll very shortly. This is coming in from Empire, but I read this article, John. I said, where is the source coming from? And then we found out it was from Deadline. So
it's as good as
it's as good as you're going to get standard in terms of the rumour mill. But the character is going to be playing, apparently, it does say here, the chief among them is an oiled up Sting in what can be best described as a large rubber codpiece, as scheming Harkonnen warrior Feyd Rautha. I think that's how you say it. If I butchered that, I apologise. I've never read the book, so don't hang me.
I mean, Stephen, I was calling Paul Atreides. Because really anything goes, because it's been written into canon in this novel, but ultimately fucking make up whatever way you want to pronounce it.
But it's because Empire say no idea whether Austin Butler will be slipping into something similar. I think that's the cod piece they're talking about. But he is in talks to play the role in Dune Part 2. Denis Villeneuve, that's another name that people say different variations of. His follow-up to his successful first adaptation last year has clearly hit the casting stage since Florence Pugh is reportedly circling the role of Princess Irulan. And I'm just going to, the character that Butler has been lined up to play.
Padishah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is Feyd Rautha, is the conniving, sadistic young nephew of Baron Harkonnen, played by Stellan Skarsgård. I think he looks like Skarsgård. Seen as the true heir to the family's power,
it's the eyes.
Which isn't well received by older brother Beast Rabin, as played by Dave Bautista.
Oh, this is just
so.
You can feel it, can't you?
The resentment.
You can feel the politics. You can feel the atmosphere already.
And it says that Dune Part 2 will be shooting this year, and is scheduled for a 20th of October 2023 release. That's
not long, man.
Not that long.
Not long at all.
Butler will next be shown in the title role for Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which will be out on the 24th of June, which is only a couple of months away. So kind of scheduling kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The way that's sort of fitting into place,
Yeah, it's usually about a year.
Because I'm pretty sure Elvis is all in the canon anyway.
It's done, yeah.
It'll just be a case of doing the sort of rounds, touring, promoting the film now, and then he'll be moving on to Dune Part 2. But what an addition to an already stellar cast, John. If we do get, obviously, Florence Pugh in there as well.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week when we lost Oscar Isaac's character, and your man,
Jason Momoa.
My man, yeah.
I don't say that too loud.
If you're going to have to replace two big name actors, you're replacing them with probably the two biggest actors, I would arguably say, in the last couple of years anyway, coming in.
Yeah, and Stephen, they're quite young.
Yeah.
I say quite young because I've just searched Austin Butler. I was actually 30, about to turn 31 this year, so he's not young, but he's young-ish. Yeah. And obviously Florence, mid-20s. So why am I saying that? If he's potentially the heir to the throne of the Harkonnens, I don't know how it works out with the novels. I know there's a huge amount of novels. I don't know if he'll survive out of this story. But if he does survive, he has to be quite young, because this will be a 10-year project potentially. And that's why also Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, all mid-20s.
Yeah. They
can go on for a 10-year project doing this character, if indeed there is a will for it from the studio. There's a desire from the fan base to see it. So it's always important that you get people who can go at it for a good 10 years. In my mind anyway, when I'm thinking of casting the MCU and stuff like that, or a Batman, I'm thinking of somebody that can go for
Tom Holland,
at least a 10-year period. So that's why I was quite happy with Pattinson, mid-30s at that point. He can go into his 40s, he's still young as hell. 10-year project, no problem whatsoever. You mentioned Tom Holland. Cast when he was still in his teens, he's in his mid-20s just now. He can literally play this character for another 10 years easily. So in terms of that, in terms of longevity, it's there with Butler. In terms of this character, you mentioned that Steven Stelling Skarsgård. He is a Skarsgård, but he's almost unfucking recognisable. He's this grotesque fat pig. It's sort of lounging in an oil bath. This hideous creature, but you can still see his face, and that's maybe partly to, I don't know, playing what the decision making is here in terms of bringing in this Austin Butler. Yeah, he's an actor. I sound very weird there when I say it's Austin Butler guy. This guy. Just because I'm looking at a comment and I'm howling. Stephen, you bring it up, man. I'm going to bring it up. You can't see him. I'm off the screen. He really does look like a Skarsgård.
Yeah, John, don't put me next to him. God, I look like a fucking ogre when you put me next to somebody like him.
He looks like Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
He says that it's the hair, it's the eyes, it's the forehead. Perfect casting.
Johnny, he played such a small role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as I recall, as the cowboy guy.
Yeah, he was the sort of free-hand man of Charles Manson.
He had a presence in the film, for that very short 15-20 minutes or whatever it was.
He's a very good actor, Stephen. He does have presence.
John, that Elvis trailer, I know we didn't react to it. It was phenomenal.
Brilliant. It really was.
Absolutely phenomenal.
He looks like Elvis.
Yeah.
Whether the movie's good or not is another thing. There's always a chance for it to be really bad with these biopics.
It wouldn't bother me if he didn't look like him at all, but he does have that kind of
he's
look
got
about
the vibe.
him.
Yeah, he's got the hair.
But I'm not basing it on that anyway. I'm basing it on the guy's talent. He's obviously very talented. And it's good to see. He's in talks to play this role. I think it's a great addition
and the role
to
itself,
an already great franchise. The
role itself, you mentioned it in that paragraph there, Stephen. The sort of family politics, that'll be so interesting to see, because almost they'll think they have succeeded in wiping out the Lettles. What I'm talking about, Duke Leto, they've succeeded in wiping out the Atreides. If I can speak the Queen's English. I've not been drinking tonight, by the way. This is me sober. They will think they have succeeded in wiping out the Atreides. I think they'll be aware that Paul's away, but they'll not really worry about him. He's out in the desert. They'll maybe think he's met his end with a sandworm or something like that. So they'll be like the Akandinans, the Tripathis of the world. In Mirzapur, they'll be sitting high on their throne. They'll think they've won, but there's always a nasty little turn around the next corner for people like this, and we've seen that with the Tripathis in Mirzapur. Off-piste a little bit, but it's a similar sort of get-up. It's like a 2-act story, 2 seasons in that case. In this case, 2 movies, where the villains think they've won, but then ultimately they do meet a bad end. It could be that they meet a bad end within their own house. Try to vie for the supremacy. They think they've got Arrakis. They think they've got the unlimited riches with the spice. I don't know how it plays out. This is when you need someone like Gianni, who's read the book 20 times to tell you. Bit shitty.
John, you're talking about that sort of in-house fighting. I'm thinking of that satirical film from your man from Glasgow, Death of Stalin.
Armando Iannucci.
Just that in-house fighting, and it brings the house down from within. And you're absolutely right. That would be a great sort of way of telling the story. I don't obviously know part 2, John. I don't know how far you've gone in the book.
Not enough.
Not enough to obviously comment.
I've seen bits in the movie. I'm like, I remember that. I could see that in my head. That's incredible. I see what you've done there, Denis. But not enough, Stephen. Yeah.
But what they are saying is that the film is going to be more focused on the Zendaya's character's sort of perspective in this one. I don't know how much they're going to be removed from the actual perspective of Paul character in the second part. Hopefully not too much, and it's not too much. Well, he is, John. It's how much time they spend.
I think he's grown to try and maybe come back as a sort of climatic battle. It's almost like I keep bringing up Mirzapur because I can see the connections there. It's like Yagudu, he's away recuperating. Paul doesn't have to recuperate, but maybe in terms of gathering strength, finding out that his uncle's still alive.
His mental strength
was it his uncle now? I don't even know, man. Josh Brolin's character anyway. That he's still alive, because he is alive. He didn't die. I know that for a fact.
I think it was his bodyguard, wasn't it? Yeah, it was his trainer.
Yeah, it's just trying to gather the people and then build up to that finale. So if they're doing that off screen and they're maybe focusing on the Chani character or whatever her name is, then we can give a good chunk of this movie to the Harkonnens and the politics.
Is the Florence Pugh character is potentially been lined up to marry Paul, which I didn't see that coming, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, because I thought he was made for China.
Yeah.
Or Channy.
As we said, Tom Holland's probably been into the writing team, saying make sure they don't fucking share any screen time. I'm threatened by this guy. He's too good looking.
He's looking a wee bit better. He's younger. No, he's same age as
taller.
me. He's 6 foot. He's probably got better hair than me. This motherfucker was wearing the best masks in the whole pandemic. He was kicking about with fucking leather biker masks on. Just there's no end to this guy's talents.
Yeah,
I do like Timothy though. He's a great
actor. You should be worried, Tom. You should be worried. But anyway, we'll move on to
clearly Zendaya like shot him in. Clearly.
It's a power thing.
Yeah, she fucking tells him, man.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But anyway, is he the smallest Spider-Man? Is it?
Yeah,
Toby?
he's the smallest Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yep, Andrew was the tallest.
Oh, definitely.
And then it was Toby who was my size.
Yeah.
Get up, you Tom.
We'll talk about, we're going to talk about
Super rich.
Star Wars, John.
Great hair.
You did mention earlier on in the show, and the graphic did come up previously, but it's all about Hayden Christensen and his thoughts on Darth Vader and Rogue One. He thought was brilliant, by the way. That's coming in from.
It was brilliant. He's right.
It was a men's. You're only stating
fucking saved that movie.
It's one of the things we never really touched on when the film did come out. Why didn't they get Hayden? But I suppose he's behind the suit. He wasn't the most menacing suited Vader. Let's be honest with you. As tall as he is, and I mean, he's got a great physique, and he was never a David Prowse.
Beanpole, Stephen. Let's be honest. He was a beanpole. I mean, David Prowse was a bodybuilder. This guy was a unit. He was massive. And he was tall.
To put it into perspective, David Prowse's chest was as wide as if you put Hayden on his side. It was that wide.
You know what was more? Just going briefly off piste. I keep using that skiing term. You know what was more surprising to me? Peter Cushing famously kicked around that set in slippers for the entire shoot of A New Hope. Because the boots they got him, too small, so he couldn't wear them. Yeah. He was in slippers. He held his fucking own alongside Prowse.
Yep.
He didn't look that much smaller.
No.
So he was a tall man as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a big presence as well, John.
Oh yeah, you talk about actors, man. Wow. Jesus Christ, cream of the crop.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about Vader's screen time in A New Hope. I'd like to see how many minutes Cushing actually. Probably less.
Do you think that George Lucas, I mean, we're getting way off topic here, do you think George Lucas realised what he had in Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing in that movie?
Yeah.
Because how the fuck did he get him to shoot this movie?
You've got to go back, John, in terms of their careers at that point as well, in the late 70s. Late 70s though.
Yeah.
You know, Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing's time was in the 50s and 60s, to be fair. Yeah. They were older gentlemen at this point, but they were still household names. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I think I've watched the interviews, obviously, with Alec Guinness, not so much with Peter Cushing, but with Alec Guinness, it was a case of reading the story, and he said he couldn't put it down. It was a real page turner.
Yeah, before it was.
He says some of the dialogue was clunky. Paraphrasing, I think it was on Parkinson. He was getting interviewed.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
And you know, I've just a gent.
Did you speak about was it James Dean?
Yeah, he had dinner with him.
He spoke about him and he spoke about that car. He still told him, don't get in that car. Get rid of that car. He was fucking right.
Such an interesting guy. But John, we'll talk about Hayden Christensen now. Bring it down a bit. But no offence, Hayden, but
I mean, Alec Guinness, man. You speak about Alec Guinness.
Yeah, exactly. But in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Christensen, who is set to return as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, is he? In the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, looks back at other Vader performances, including the Sith Lord's scenes in Rogue One. Although Christensen confirms he didn't talk to anyone about starring in the movie, the actor says he loved what they did. He described how he sees the role of Vader as a collective effort, saying he thought the movie's Vader-centric scenes were brilliant. And he said, this is what he actually said, it's got a quote here: "I wasn't a part of any of those conversations about Rogue One, but I loved what they did with it. The character predates me, and it's always been a collective effort in a lot of ways. I thought it was brilliant." When he says collective effort, he's talking about body doubles, the voiceovers, that kind of thing, the actual fighting. I think they got, what was the guy's name again? Bob Anderson was the stunt coordinator that did the Empire Strikes Back fight scenes with Mark Hamill. So
you're right, Steve. It's almost like a fucking ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. And Frankenstein's monster, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's multiple people bring it together. And Stephen, that's what I always loved about those movies, just the ingenious way they brought things to the screen. Not just with the primitive CGI and stuff like that, ILM, the ping pong tables, but even the actors. Just the way they created that character, voicing it over. This was the 70s.
Yeah.
It's very, very impressive how they made it work. And that's why, in some ways, I do like movies from that era better than the current day, because people are lazy now. They've got that. Everyone can do CGI now. I mean, it looks great, but you had to work harder, and the story had to be more impactful back then. And I always thought it worked. Even the Star Trek series, I mean, it was pathetic, the visuals. Tomato ketchup.
Yeah.
Tomato ketchup.
Yeah.
Blood. But just the stories were so gripping and gravitating. I don't know what I was about to say there before that, so I think I tried to combine the two words. I thought, screw it, I'll just say the two. But yeah, Stephen, this is look, he's absolutely right. They were brilliant, the moments involved in this character in Rogue One, because you for me, having read I believe it was the Tarkin novel? It was a Tarkin novel, and not just a Tarkin novel, but actually I think multiple other. I think there was one where the Emperor and Vader, you got a sense in the books of the hierarchy within the Empire.
Yep.
There was a distinct hierarchy, and there was 3 men firmly at the top, and then there was a huge gap.
Then after it was Krennic after that.
It was the Emperor, then it was definitely Tarkin and Vader.
Yeah.
And then fucking miles after that.
Vauxhall Conference. Yeah.
Well, you got that in this movie, Stephen.
Yeah, yeah.
You got the bickering of Krennic trying to go behind the back of Tarkin. He went to Vader. He's like, in so many words, he basically says, "Bitch, why are you coming to me and waking me up out of my Bacta tank to tell me this? Tarkin is your daddy and you'll accept anything he says." Pretty much that's what he said to him.
John, you talk about that Bacta tank scene. I'm pretty sure they used Hayden Christensen's cast.
Yeah, that was...
And that, it definitely looked like him anyway. I know it was a very brief scene and it was from the back, and it was very quick, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere they did use his cast for when they obviously did the Revenge of the Sith body work for the Mustafa burning scenes. Yeah, it
looked like it. Yeah, because to the point where I'm like, that's Hayden.
Yeah,
obviously it's not, because Hayden's got all his limbs.
Yeah, John, but as much as a presence in this television series, how big a presence do you think he's going to have?
Sadly, not enough for me, Stephen. I'm not convinced he is the main villain. I think the main villain, someone put some great comments in, incidentally, on the reaction of Obi-Wan the Kenobi trailer.
Yeah.
They mentioned the Inquisitors. I think the Inquisitors are the main villains in this. I think they will be coming to Tatooine to maybe seek out Obi-Wan, maybe happen upon the Force-sensitive Luke of a young age. And the guy that commented, or she, whoever it was, commented and says they think that will draw Obi-Wan off the planet.
Yeah.
To take them away from Luke, and maybe someone else will look after. I'm still convinced Kumail Nanjiani's going to be playing a Jedi or some sort, or something like that. Just bring him in. Why not? Because he's a big name actor now. This guy seems to be getting traction. I'd love to see him playing a Jedi or something like that, and maybe he looks after him in Obi-Wan's behalf. But obviously, taking him off planet, I think it's the Inquisitors. I think he'll be. Apparently they've been talking about it. He is in a dark place in this movie. He's broken. So I think it'll be more flashbacks.
Slightly changed the tone though, thanks to Kathleen Kennedy, John. But it offers more hope. Apparently, it's going to be a bit more Disney-like, John. We expected that though. But I still believe that Ewan McGregor would not have signed up unless there was guarantees of certain things being in there, elements. You talk about the grieving process, John. That's where I think Hayden Christensen's going to kick in. I think it's going to be flashbacks. There was talk about it's going to be a de-aged Hayden Christensen, which plays on obviously it being set in the past. Sadly, I thought he got I don't want to say he got a raw deal, because I don't obviously know what he was offered for The Rise of Skywalker, but to just have that one line, it was terrible. Rise, like I once did, or whatever shit line it was. It was a terrible line. I see he should have been
in the movie, but I'm betting he's glad he's not in the movie now.
Well, probably, John, because they pissed all over the character after that, and I thought they just absolutely watered down the whole trilogy, the original trilogy.
Yeah, he was so intrinsically linked to the Emperor. He was the guy that killed the Emperor in the end. He should have been there.
And then he didn't.
And then he didn't. Yeah, Steve, that's why it's fan fiction for me.
It's a shit show, yeah.
And I says we'd get on to it, because we always do every time we speak about Star Wars, because it really did leave a bad taste in my mouth, that trilogy. And that last movie in particular is that bad that people are now looking at The Last Jedi and saying, you know what, that was actually imaginative. He tried to do something different at least.
John, I've always said The Last Jedi has some of the best bits in Star Wars and some of the worst bits in Star Wars. It does, yeah. But
the best bits are much, much better than anything JJ did, unfortunately. And The Force Awakens was alright. It was serviceable. It was fine. It was what I watch. But you had to build from that. Yeah. And they never did, sadly. Not the way I wanted it anyway. No. But clearly I'm just a man baby. A self-absorbed man-child that wants Star Wars my way, and it's not Star Wars.
Said that little round-headed freak.
But Steve, that remark you made there about Kathleen Kennedy changing the script and making it more hopeful, is that something you think is appropriate for Obi-Wan? Because for me, he never struck me as a guy that had much hope in A New Hope.
Oh, he was very bitter. He was very cynical, and in terms of when he was referring to Anakin, you know, he's more machine. Well, I think that was later down the line, wasn't it? It was in Return of the Jedi, but there was that. There was moments where he said he was a cunning warrior and a great pilot and all that, and you could see a sort of smile on his face, you know, just remembering the good days. I don't think we're going to get any good days in this, but I don't think it's going to be all light and airy either. I think there's going to be some really emotional stuff going on inside Obi-Wan's head.
I always found Ben to be a very embittered, as you did say, character.
Yeah.
Not a great deal of hope. He'd been on a journey, but not necessarily a good journey.
Yeah.
And at the end, he was a deeply different character. I've not heard that name since way back, since the Clone Wars or something like that, I think he says. He didn't strike me as a character living in the present, or the past, or the future. He just struck me as a character who lived vicariously through Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It was his job to get Luke on the Death Star and then off on his journey.
And like to go for a drink. Yeah.
Yes, he clearly I mean, Stephen, you would want to go for a drink if you were that character, to be fair.
Especially on Tatooine.
He fucking aged horrifically. Clearly, if you went for Ewan McGregor, no harm to Alec Guinness, but he was an old man by that point.
Yeah.
From a dashing young Ewan McGregor with the lovely flowing locks to that.
I still hope to see those. I think we reacted to one of the visual effects sort of redos of the Vader Obi-Wan fight scene in A New Hope, John.
Yeah.
I still hope that Lucasfilm will look at that and maybe do something about that, because I think it was incredible what they did.
And that was something the guy commented as well. He says it's a never changing thing, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Lucas did it.
Yep.
Now Disney are doing it. It's always be water, my friend. It's water. It's moving about.
Yeah, it's like Obi-Wan says, from a certain point of view, they are changing the points of view quite a bit.
By the way, speaking about Obi-Wan, just incidentally, I have to mention that every time I have a beard, I try to recreate Ewan McGregor's Revenge of the Sith look. I'm going to say, not so much the Attack of the Clones, because he's a bit weird in that. His beard's a bit weird. He looks a bit weird. I think he's wearing a wig.
I think it was a stick-on beard for reshoots. Yeah,
bizarre looking. So I try to recapture that every time I grow a beard out. Sadly, I've not got the locks of Obi-Wan or Ewan. Although at one point I did, and I fucking threw it away. But I try to recapture the beard. I just love the character. That's what I'm saying. I says that in the comment.
Do we know how many episodes there's going to be yet, John? Is it?
I think it's a limited series, so probably 6.
Oh dear.
6,
but maybe an hour long. I can accept that, I suppose. Not that they have to run it by me or anything like that, but I'm just sort of weighing up how many movies would that be. It's kind of like 3 movies then. It's a trilogy.
40 minutes, Stephen, accounting for the credits. I'm shite at maths, so I'll probably butcher it, but it's a good 4 hours.
God, they gave us 9 episodes of Boba Fett or whatever it was.
Yeah, I know.
What you doing?
But that's I know. Stephen, you don't want to. I always say less is more.
Yeah.
And with this character, less is most definitely more. You don't want to overdo it. You don't
want
to overstay
John,
welcome.
I think they're conscious of people's perception of the character being on Tatooine for quite a bit as well. I know he's not going to be. We've already seen it looks like. Yeah, it does. It does look like it from the trailer. So he is going to be off planet.
Maybe he'll go back. Maybe he'll go back to Death Stick.
I do want to see him go to Alderaan. I really do want to see.
Steve, you said that,
Jimmy Schmitz is in it. Then I hope we go to Alderaan.
And it would make sense because it's very much still there.
Yeah. I would like to think Obi-Wan had a hand in keeping an eye on Leia from a distance as well. Not as much as he was with Luke, but just to acknowledge her, because he didn't give her any respect at all, or acknowledgement.
Misogynist. No, Steve, I always felt Leia get the...
That boy is our last hope.
Yeah.
What? You would have put you in your place. No, there is another. Fucking hell, man. Talk about blinkers. You're the one that's pulling up Anakin about what's it? Only a Sith.
Only a
Deals
Sith
and absolutes.
Deals and absolutes. Clearly he'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
His hermitage, I'm just going to call it hermitage, I don't think that's even a word. His hermit years clearly changed him to be a very different man, not only in looks but in mentality as well. He turned into a misogynist. He literally killed his friend to save his wife.
Yeah.
Who realistically had no relationship with, didn't really give a fuck about. A Jedi's wired to not give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Feel no connection. If you have no connection, you have nothing to lose. Anakin didn't have that, and that's why he lost.
I wonder what Ewan was thinking though with Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Probably different. Probably thought, I'll get rid of you, Hayden. And I'll have
twins.
And yeah, I know.
That's a lot of fucking work.
That's a lot of baggage.
That's a lot of work. I don't think you'd know. As good looking as Natalie Portman was, Amidala was, and she certainly was good looking, to be fair. Not Not twins, come on.
Yeah.
No chance.
Especially
I think Natalie's
whiny little twins like that.
There's people, we're going off in major tangents here, but some people age like a fine wine. And I'm thinking you think of Robert Redford, he's probably one that age like fine wine. You think of Brad Pitt, age like fine wine. I'm trying to think of an actress, maybe Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Liv Tyler. Natalie's definitely, her best was definitely that era. But anyway,
okay.
She was like better back then, didn't she? But yeah, what was I going to say? I was going to say something there, and it's completely left my brain. We were talking about Obi-Wan. We were talking about absolutes. We were talking about misogyny. That was it. It was Alderaan. I'm with you, Stephen. I'd love to see them go to Alderaan, just to see that world, man. It looks so tantalising. We get a little glimpse at it at the end of Revenge of the Sith. But for Leia, she was never real. I don't think she was interested in the Jedi way, Stephen. I think she was a politician. She'd settled on that path. That was her path. She could have an impact on the galaxy from that career.
Apparently they have got someone cast in young Leia role, so
well, there you go. We're probably are going to Alderaan.
I hope so, John. I really do. I really hope so.
I mean, Stephen, you don't want to miss any opportunities with this. But you did it.
This is a one and done with Obi-Wan. This period and this character, you need to get it right.
And much like the sequel trilogy, you only have one bite of the cherry, so let's get it right. Let's begin to make things right. That's why they ignored Hayden back in those fateful 2015, 2016, 2017 days. They didn't want anything to do with the prequels. They thought they were shit. Look at them now. Can't get enough of them.
Exactly.
Because they've realised that the sequels are dog shit and the prequels are actually better. Try to do it, Ian McDermott. Boys, better. Don't know what that sounded like. It certainly wasn't Ian McDermott. But let I digress. That's going to round up this show. It's been on for nearly an hour.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's been on for nearly an hour. A lot of gibbering, a lot of tangents from me. Sorry, Natalie Portman today. I know she's ever going to see this. Never going to see this. I feel fucking harsh saying someone, you're ugly now, you look better back then, 20 years ago. I look better 20 years ago as well, by the way. Maybe not. Apologies, that's a bit misogynistic in its own right. I'm saying no sexist, no racist, no fascist, and I come out with that fucking claptrap. Anyway, I digress. What's your thoughts on the topics we've touched upon on this show? Tonight this is sober, John. And yes, I just spoke about myself in third person. What do you make about that headline? Do you want to see Sam Raimi potentially direct a Batman movie at some point in the non-distinct future? Would you like to see him do a Ben Affleck Batman movie? Because of course Matt Reeves very much tied up with Robert Pattinson, and we don't want to see a different director coming in to do a Batman movie in the middle of a trilogy, because look what happened in the sequel trilogy. I'll just keep speaking like this. What do you make about Austin Butler potentially being in Dune 2, playing the disenfranchised nephew of, I forget his name, the Harkonnen guy, fat, grotesque Harkonnen guy, and maybe going toe to toe with Dave Bautista? Good fucking luck, Austin. That's what I'm going to say to you. There's only one winner there. You can comment below if you have anything to say about that. And then finally, Hayden Christensen reminiscing about Rogue One and the great Vader sequences we had in that movie, and us just speaking about everything Star Wars. You can comment below if you have anything to say about that, or anything you feel compelled to share within reason. Not any naked HTXYZ online strips without clothing. What's naked? Pretty fucking self-explanatory. Try and steer away from that or Asaman comments. But if you've got anything to share that's compelling, put it down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon on, and get notifications on YouTube of when we next do streams or any content that goes on that platform, be it reactions, just general content. And hit the follow button over on Twitch to see our live streams over there when indeed we pop up, and that'll be me tomorrow, hopefully in a better form than what I've been in tonight, because fuck knows I'm on my own. Regardless of what you do though, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, me, Stephen, I've done. Bye bye.